Dinner had been normal in the way that required effort, plates set carefully, conversation kept light, small pauses filled quickly before they could become noticeable. My daughter was in her chair, focused on her food, that was, unaware of the way the adults around her were managing something unspoken. My mother-in-law had a habit of watching people when they weren't speaking, not in a curious way, in a measuring way. I'd noticed it early on in the marriage and learned to move past it, the same way you adjust to a persistent noise in the background. That night, it felt sharper. She asked ordinary questions. Work, the drive over, whether we were still thinking about moving, nothing direct. But her tone carried a kind of patience that didn't match the conversation. My husband answered most of it. I added what was necessary. We kept things even. At some point, she stood up without explanation and left the room. No one commented. She came back holding an envelope, not sealed. Just closed. She didn't sit immediately. Instead, she walked around the table and placed it in front of my husband with a kind of careful precision, like positioning something important. I think you need to see this, she said. Her voice was calm, almost gentle. That was the first moment the room changed. My husband looked at the envelope but didn't touch it right away. Then he glanced at her as if trying to understand whether this was serious or something else. She held his gaze. No smile now, just expectation. He opened it. The paper inside made a soft sound as he unfolded it. I didn't lean in. I didn't need to. The shape of the moment was already clear enough. He read it once, then again, slower. The room was quiet in a way that didn't feel accidental anymore. Even my daughter had stopped making noise, distracted by something on her plate. He lowered the paper slightly, looked at his mother, then at me, not searching, not questioning, just looking. There was no immediate reaction. No visible shift in his expression that gave anything away. I felt the weight of that pause more than anything she had done, because whatever came next would define the moment, not the paper, not the test, but his response to it. My mother-in-law waited. She had already decided what this meant. I could see it in the way she stood, steady, certain, as if she had finally brought something into the open that had been hidden too long. I didn't know how else to protect you, she said, filling the silence. Protect. The word landed in the middle of the table and stayed there. My husband folded the paper carefully. Not quickly, not carelessly. Then he set it down, still no change in his voice when he spoke. You tested her, he said. It wasn't a question. His mother straightened slightly. I had concerns. He nodded once, acknowledging the sentence without accepting it. You took my daughter, he continued, and you had her tested without telling us. Her expression tightened, just slightly. I needed to be sure. There it was, not regret, just justification. He leaned back in his chair, exhaled slowly, like he was organizing something internally. I didn't interrupt. This wasn't a moment I could step into without changing it. He looked at the paper again, then pushed it a few inches away from himself. I don't need to read this to know what it says, he said. That was the first crack in her certainty. You don't even, she started. I don't care what it says, he replied. Not louder, not sharper, just clearer. The room shifted again. She blinked as if recalibrating. You should care, she said. This affects. No, he said, one word, enough to stop her. He leaned forward slightly now, not aggressive, but present in a way he hadn't been before. What affects me, he said, is that you thought this was your decision to make. Her confidence faltered then, not dramatically, just enough. I was trying to help you, she said, but it came out thinner than before. He shook his head. You weren't helping, he said. You were looking for a reason not to trust my family. The word family sat there deliberately, not just me, not just our daughter. All of it. She glanced at me then, briefly, like she was expecting something. Defense, denial, anything that would pull the focus away from her. I didn't give it. He followed her gaze and then brought it back to himself. This doesn't change anything between me and them, he said. It changes everything between me and you. That was the moment, clear. Unmistakable, not emotional, not explosive, just final in a way that didn't need volume. Her posture shifted. The steadiness she had walked in with didn't hold the same way anymore. You're overreacting, she said. But it didn't land with the same certainty. He didn't respond to that. Instead, he stood up, not abruptly, just enough to make the movement intentional. We're leaving, he said. My daughter looked up at that, sensing the change more than understanding it. My mother-in-law stepped forward slightly. You don't have to make this into something it's not. It already is, he said. He reached for his coat, then paused, looking at her again. You don't get to question her place in this family, he added. Quieter now. Not like this. There was no anger in it, just a boundary place where there hadn't been one before. Her expression shifted again, this time not defensive, not certain, something closer to realization. Wait, she said, stepping closer. You're not seriously going to walk out over this. He didn't hesitate. Yes, he said. That was when it broke, not loudly, but visibly. Don't do that, she said, her voice tightening. Don't leave like this. For the first time, there was something like urgency in her tone. Not about the test, about the consequence. He didn't argue, didn't escalate. He just moved toward the door, picking up our daughter's jacket as he passed. I followed. There was nothing left to say that would change what had already been decided. Behind us, her voice came again, softer now. Please, she said. He didn't turn around. The door closed the same way it always did, quickly. Outside, the air felt different. Not lighter, just clearer. We stood there for a second before walking to the car. My daughter asked something from the back seat. I answered without thinking, keeping my voice steady. He started the engine. Neither of us spoke right away, not because there was nothing to say, but because the important part had already been said, and it hadn't needed either of us to repeat it.